Okay, guys, we're continuing with our lesson on digestion, and as you can see that these two are non-ruminants, and we have a ruminant there, and we know that in non-ruminants, looking at the mouth, we see that there's no teeth. In fowls we only have a beak, so no enzymes here, no enzymes in terms of digestion. Only the fowl has a tongue that helps in swallowing. Looking at the pig also has a tongue, and also there's saliva. You need to know the functions of a tongue as a taste, for chewing and for swallowing, mixing. But if you just know these three, that's fine. Tasting, chewing, swallowing, very easy. And even in ruminants, it's tasting, chewing, and swallowing. But coming to the saliva, it helps to moisten and also serve as a solvent, and also acts as an antiseptic. Also, very most important is the amylase of ptyalin, the enzyme in there that is secreted by saliva. But we know that cows or ruminants do not have salivary amylase. They only have saliva just to make it bolus. There's absence of amylase. There's no amylase in cows. All right, let's continue with this. We're still looking at the mouth. All right, and then now looking at the esophagus. You can see that in fowls, these are fowls. In fowls, the crop. This crop is for storage, moistening, and softening. Then in pigs, you find that the esophagus is just responsible for peristalsis, and the only enzyme that is still there is that enzyme in the mouth. There's no enzyme that is secreted in the esophagus. Esophagus, no enzyme, but it's that amylase from the mouth that continues the process of digestion. But as soon as the food arrives in the stomach, then the amylase is deactivated because of the hydrochloric acid. It stops working, and then only the rennin and the pepsin will work here. You remember those, I mentioned those. Coming to cows, the intake of food, storage, and chewing of the cud. So let's read this. When the cow eats, food is not properly chewed but swallowed and stored in the rumen. The cow just eats, and swallows the food. This enables the cow to take in large quantities of food quickly and then later chew it finer. We call this chewing of the cud. So looking at this process of rumination, it starts here. When the cow is resting, then the food is transported back to the mouth. We call this reverse peristalsis or regurgitation. And then this is the process. It throws food back to the mouth, then it chews it finer, and then it reswallows the food. And when it comes back now, it passes through the rumen straight to the reticulum. But for the first time, the food was stored in the rumen when it was not properly chewed and when it was still cud. And then after it's been chewed finer, then it moves straight to the reticulum. And we know the reticulum is the smallest, you understand, with 5% volume. So the function of the chewing of cud is really to help with refining of food, be fine, and also with the flow of saliva. Then the swallowed food falls in the reticulum and then passed to the omasum. And also you need to note that because the reticulum is the smallest, so all these things, they tend to lodge in the reticulum, or in nails, glass, and whatever that the cow might have swallowed. So digestion there in the reticular rumen, we know mainly is by microorganisms, and they live in symbiosis with, we're gonna explain that. Coming to the fowls, in terms, we are here in the small, this is small intestine, this is stomach now, ne? This is stomach. We said here there's microorganisms in the rumen, but in pigs it's the simple stomach. You get renin and pepsin. Here you get proventriculus as the glandular stomach, where digestive juices are secreted. All right, let's continue with this one. We're still in the digestion in the stomach. We're still there, and we're saying we were saying within the fowl there's proventriculus that secrete digestive juices, and there's the second one is gizzard, which grinds food and breaks down food physically because of the muscles and also because of the grit, that is the small stones. Here we said two enzymes, renin and pepsin or pepsinogen, and also hydrochloric acid. These are the functions of hydrochloric acid: neutralizes alkaline reaction, supplies acid, and activates pepsin, and also changes sucrose to glucose. It also does that, and it is antiseptic, that is, it destroys bacteria. Coming to cows now, we say these microorganisms, fungi, bacteria, protozoa, you can see them here. They help in the digestion of cellulose, hemicellulose, and all that, and the protozoa as well. But the main functions of these microorganisms, if we look on our next page, these are the main functions of these microorganisms: digestion of fiber, crude fiber, production of proteins, digestion of cellulose, production of volatile fatty acids, and all that. And these are the requirements. You remember I said you need to describe, to say they need sufficient mineral nutrients, not just mineral nutrients, sufficient mineral nutrients, not just carbohydrates or food, easily digestible carbohydrates, not just nitrogen, but enough or sufficient nitrogen. And also in terms of pH, not just pH, slightly alkaline pH, or you can just write pH of 6.5 to 7. And also coming to temperature, favorable or suitable temperature, 37. So that's how you describe it. And then we say they live in symbiosis with cows, because microbes give the cow all these things, and the cows give the microbes all these things there. So they are helping each other. They are helping each other. They live in symbiosis. All right. All right. Continue with all this, and we said now the food will move from reticulum to the omasum. Omasum, we know those are the leaves. So what happens here? Food is ground between those horny muscles, and coarse particles are prevented from going into the abomasum. So the main function of omasum is grinding, and what is that? Because of these muscles and muscular, the leaves. Sorry, the leaves. And then in the these are the things that are absorbed in the rumen: volatile fatty acids, carbon dioxide, and also as well as vitamin B complex. And we also mention the liver, the bile secreted by liver, its function, and the pancreas secreting pancreatic juice. Then in the small intestines, we mentioning that the pancreatic juice will secrete all these. This is what is in the pancreatic juice: trypsin, that changes proteins to peptide, chymotrypsin, you remember the SIN, then the amylase breaks starch to maltose, lipase fats to glycerol. And then in the intestinal juice we get Saccharus entericus. These are the enzymes. Enterokinase activate trypsinogen to trypsin, erepsin, protein peptones to amino acid, lipase, fats to glycerol and fatty acids, sucrase, these are disaccharides. Disaccharides, they break the disaccharides. That is, sucrase breaks sucrose to glucose, maltase, maltose to glucose, lactase, lactose to glucose. So these are the functions of the succus entericus, the intestinal glands. And lastly, guys, so that we can step down from this digestion, we're saying liver secrete bile, and these are all the functions of bile. Neutralizes acid, it emulsifies fats, and also it activates lipase, and also it helps with the absorption of fats and vitamins, and it is antiseptic. And we said absorption, it happens, these are the nutrients that will be absorbed: water, vitamins, amino acids, glucose, minerals, and all that. Fatty acids and glycerol, these are the end products of fats, and amino acid end products of proteins, glucose end products of carbohydrates. All these will be then absorbed, and diffusion and osmosis, we said, is the same. In diffusion, it's these substances, that is your glucose, all the nutrients, they move from the region of high concentration to a region of low concentration. And osmosis is the solvents. They move naso from region of high to a region of low concentration until a balance is maintained. Then looking at the last one, the active transport, we said the active transport, listen carefully, active transport is then when the absorption of these substances is against now the direction in which they tend to diffuse. That is, it's not passive absorption, it's active in this case, because the movement is against the concentration gradient, and it requires energy and is called active transport. And then thereafter, guys, the cecum, the food moves to the cecum, where you can get some fermentation there, and then in the rectum, where there's reabsorption of water, and then formation of feces. That ends digestion. See you next time. Bye.